Hi, I'm Amy Hannon, and nothing thrills me more than people and food. I'm a preacher's wife, a mom of 3, and I own my own specialty kitchen store. I've kept an open door and a well-stocked fridge, which means I have fed a lot of mouths over the years. So welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making sweets. I love baking, don't you? I just get the itch sometimes just to be in the kitchen and crack eggs and scoop and measure and bake. Well, I've got the itch today. And not only that, but February is National Chocolate Lovers Month. And so I decided that there is nothing better in the world to make for National Chocolate Lovers Month than a triple chocolate bundt cake. We're making this beautiful cake in this neat heart-shaped bundt pan from Nordic Ware. And it starts with a box mix, a little pudding, lots of eggs, and some whipping in your mixer. And then we bake it and put this beautiful homemade chocolate ganache on the top with a little bite of sweet on the side, some fruit. And we're just gonna call it a day. It is beautiful. All this starts with is a box of chocolate cake mix. You can use Devil's Food, you can use butter recipe fudge, you can use milk chocolate, whatever you like. This one is the butter recipe fudge. And Euna May swore by the red box in the cake. She loves that one. And then this is just a 3.5 ounce or so, the small box of chocolate instant pudding. Isn't it fun when it just is already pre-mixed for you? These little kitchen hacks and shortcuts are great, aren't they? And then I'm going to put that in and go ahead and give that a little whir. And what that does is kind of break up the clumps. You know, a lot of times those dry mixes have a few clumps in them, and just by giving it a little mix like this, we'll get those out for you. And we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of water. I always say I don't love chocolate, and then when I start making it, I'm like, ooh, I sure love chocolate. A 1/2 cup of canola oil, or vegetable oil, whatever you prefer. A little Euna May's vanilla, makes everything sweeter. And I just eyeballed that. It's probably just about a teaspoon, not much more than. And then with our mixer on low, we're going to add in our eggs. 1 at a time. These are just large eggs. And did you know that when you bake, that you should have room temperature ingredients? You should have room temperature eggs, room temperature milk, room temperature water. Because what it does is it actually incorporates a little bit better and it bakes more evenly when you start with room temperature ingredients. Kind of puts everything on equal playing ground, you know what I mean, like temperature-wise. So once it goes into our 350-degree oven, it will just bake right up. Okay, there are 4 large eggs. And those 4 eggs give it so much good density and lift. So good. Ready? So we're going to turn this up, and we're going to let this beat for just a little time, probably about 1.5 minutes or so. And the longer that you beat this, you're kind of getting air inside of there, and air is good when you're making a cake. So we're going to give this a pretty good whir. And then what we have right here are, am I yelling at you? Can you hear me yelling over my mixer? You turn that thing on high and it is loud. What we have right here are 2 cups of chocolate chips. You can use all semi-sweet. I think that the recipe that we actually are publishing says semi-sweet chips. But you can also mix them. I always love to mix chips. I've mixed beans in my soup. I just kind of like to always have a little different color, a little different bite. So actually what I have right here is 1 cup of semi-sweet and 1 cup of milk chocolate. And when this gets finished mixing up, we're going to stir those in by hand. Part of the reason you want to stir them in by hand is because sometimes your mixer doesn't get all the way to the bottom. Sometimes you'll find some dry ingredients under there. So we want to get our bowl scraper in there and make sure that we get all that good stuff off the bottom, the dry that kind of got left behind. We want that to get incorporated. Smells so good. Who's going to lick the beater? I know some people in here who probably will. Okie doke. I think that looks pretty good. And again, we have our oven preheating to 350. so good. It looks like a chocolate fountain. Look how that's dripping off of there. Delicious. Smells so, so good. We have our oven preheating. Oh, I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't help it. So we're going to take our bowl out. We have our oven preheated to 350. And this is actually going to bake for about 50 to 55 minutes. And you want to do the toothpick test. You know the toothpick test is when you actually stick a toothpick down into kind of the heart of a cake and watch to see if that toothpick comes out dry. You do want it to come out dry, but you also don't want your cake to be too dry. So you just really need to watch it. Don't ever just set your timer and walk away and assume that your timer is going to know exactly what's right and exactly what's happening. You really want to eyeball it and check it really, really close. So what we're going to do is finish giving this a little stir. I'm going to show you how to prep your Bundt pan for this. And we're going to stick this in the oven and get to town on our ganache and some beautiful raspberries that we're going to put together with this. This is cooking today.
Iced tea, sponsored by Lipton.
Hi, thanks for coming back. We are making a triple chocolate Bundt cake. And now that I think about it, it probably should be quadruple chocolate Bundt, because now that I think about it, I think we're doing probably 4 different kinds of chocolate in different places. So we can just know that it is loaded, loaded, loaded with chocolate and all the good stuff that y'all love. This is National Chocolate Lovers Month after all, and so if you like chocolate, you will love this cake. So we have mixed our cake mix, started from a box, and we have made this delicious. We've amped it all up and put all kinds of good things in here. And now we're going to put this in our Bundt pan. And what I have here is this adorable, it's called the Elegant Heart Bundt, and it is by Nordic Ware, and I sell this at Euna. I have a whole wall full of Nordic Ware. It is quality American-made, great, great bakeware, and I really love their company. They're great folks there. And not only that, but their Bundt pans, these really good cast aluminum ones, they will turn your Bundt cake out without any trouble at all. I know that a lot of you don't make Bundt cakes anymore because you've had the big headache and the grief of flipping that Bundt over and it doesn't come out or it separates. And I know, I feel your pain. I did that for years. This is the good stuff, and I'm going to give you a couple tricks right at the end too that is going to make your Bundt cake come out perfect. So we've got a good Bundt pan. And what I really stand by and believe in with my whole heart is Baker's Joy. You can get it at any grocery or store at all. It is cooking spray that actually has flour in it. And you know how normally in the old ways we would actually grease and flour our Bundt pans. And it's a little bit of work. It's not all that fun to do, and you have to kind of pat it around and shake the flour out. And often the flour would get on top of any cake that you were making, and then you kind of get that, you know, that little film. Well, Baker's Joy is actually cooking spray that has flour in it. And so it does all of the work that greasing and flouring does without the headache and without that like white film that powder gives, that flour gives. So, Baker's Joy. Hold this over your sink when you spray your Bundt and be sure that you're getting in all of the grooves. Don't hold it over your floor because you will slip and fall and bite the dust, and we don't want to do that, do we? Okay, here we go. We're going to spray it down inside of our sink. Get all the grooves. I'm eyeballing everywhere I'm spraying just to be sure that it's really well coated. All right, that looks good to me. And then I've got my wooden spoon, and we mix this really well with the chocolate chips in it. And what I'm going to do is give this one more good stir, because as this has sat here, all the chocolate chips are heavy and they sink to the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that we've got those kind of stirred up and evenly distributed, because everybody needs to have chocolate chips, doesn't it? Okay, here we go. And I'm going to just pour and rotate. This is when you need to be sure to use your batter bowl or your mixing bowl that has the handle and the pour spout. If you were trying to do this with just the regular stainless bowl that comes with your mixer, you do not have a pour spout to really aim for these little holes here. And I'm gonna scrape, scrape, scrape and get all that out because those chocolate chips kind of settle. And we want every bit of that. Oh, I should save that for somebody to lick. Okay, so we have our Bundt mix poured in here. And what you need to do here is give it a little tap on the counter and it gets any of the big bubbles out. And you'll actually see them, they kind of rise to the top. There's one right here, kind of rises to the top and pops, okay? And I also always give my Bundt pans a little shimmy just to be sure that it's nice and even, that there's not one side that's got more than another. Okay, there we go. It's a beauty. I'm gonna wipe that little edge right here with a paper towel just to get that off. There. Okie doke. So this is going in a 350 oven for about 50 minutes or so. I'm gonna start checking this at about 40 minutes. I'm gonna eyeball it at 40. And then I'm probably gonna toothpick test it at 45 minutes, even though the time says 50. Then I'm gonna start checking it about every minute or two, just so that it's just right. Because once it is burned, it is too cooked. And there is just no rescue after that. And we don't want to do that because it smells fantastic. And wouldn't it just be a crying shame if that whole beautiful cake had to go in the trash? It would be devastating. All right, so what we want to do next is macerate some raspberries. I love, 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 love raspberries with chocolate. It's probably my husband's favorite thing. He loves a little fruit, kind of a cold, tart fruit with anything chocolate. And you know, you think about that, they serve it a lot of times that way in restaurants. Plus, it's the month of love, and what is more, says more love than like chocolate and strawberries or things like that. And so we're gonna actually add these as a little side to our Bundt. And all I'm gonna do is give these a rinse, and when we come back, I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make macerated raspberries to go on the side of our beautiful triple chocolate Bundt cake. This is Cooking Today. Hello, welcome back. It smells so good in here, you wouldn't believe it. We've got this triple chocolate Bundt cake that's just about to come out of the oven. And we've got our station set up for all the good stuff that's gonna go with it. We're gonna make homemade sweetened whipped cream. We're about to macerate our raspberries, and I'm also gonna show y'all how to make a really easy chocolate ganache. It sounds super fancy, like it's something you wouldn't be able to do, and it's a piece of cake. I can't wait to show you. So what we have right here are some raspberries. This is just like a 6-ounce carton, just that small one. And all we have to do is put a little sugar on them and let them sit for about 10 minutes or so. And I also add the littlest bit of water, just a splash of cold water. And then I'm just gonna stir that with my tablespoon because it's sitting here. I'm gonna give that a little stir. And as those berries, these or strawberries or whatever else you would like to use, as they sit in that sugary liquid, it just kind of starts to pull that moisture out, and they get this yummy little liquid and juice that is so good, spooned right over top of that chocolate cake. Okay, and I'm gonna mush those just the littlest bit with my tablespoon and let those just sit. We're just gonna set them aside. Okay, what we also have going is ganache. Ganache is that glossy chocolate frosting that kind of pours over cakes, and sometimes you'll see it poured over ice cream that you get at a restaurant. Delicious. All that it is a little heavy whipping cream and chocolate chips. You can throw in a splash of vanilla. Some people do like optional rum. You could add in espresso powder for just a little extra flavor. But in its simplest form, it's just cream and chocolate chips. And I'm gonna splash a little vanilla in because I love the vanilla. So what I have right here is heavy whipping cream. And I have gotten it hot on the stove. It's already come to a little bit of a boil. And then I have 1 cup of chocolate chips right here. I'm gonna pour them in, pat them down, make sure that they're in that hot cream, and set this aside. And just in a few minutes, that hot cream is gonna melt those chips. We don't do it over the stovetop because it might scald, but I'm just gonna set it there. Look, right there. So how we've got our little stations. Raspberries are doing their thing in the sugar. Our chocolate is melting in that heavy cream. And I have whipped cream we're about to make. And what this is, it starts with 1 cup of cold, heavy whipping cream. And I've measured that and then put it right back in the refrigerator. So the glass jar and everything got nice and chilled. And then I'm going to lock my mixer and start whipping. We're going to turn it up. And this is putting air into the cream. And did you know that if you let this go and you don't add any of the sweet to it, we're going to have butter and buttermilk. We'll have to do that one day. It is so fascinating and fun to watch. It's a great project to do with your kids. So we're going to let this whip for just a minute or so. And then I have just confectioner's sugar. Some people use white sugar. I just like confectioner's. It's finer. And so it dissolves very, very quickly, but you still get the sweet. So as that gets going, I'm going to scoop in a 1/4 cup. And a splash of good vanilla. And as you watch your cream, you'll see how it goes from being really thin and liquidy, like thick milk. We're starting to get some texture, and you can start to see kind of the drag marks of the beater. That whisk is starting to create some drag. You can see the marks in it. This is delicious, y'all. Homemade whipped cream, once you've had it, you can never go back. I'm telling you. And look how easy that was. We just poured and scooped, and then the mixer does its trick. I'm going to stir these chocolate chips. Yep, that hot cream. Melted those. And so I'm going to incorporate that, and I'm keeping my eyes on that. It's getting good. And this fun, golly, all this is delicious. What a yummy day. And I'm watching our timer. I can smell our cake. It's all coming together, y'all, for one of the most beautiful, rich, delicious desserts, and easy as it can be. So I'm going to check our cake. Our cream is perfect. Look at this. Now I don't have to yell at you anymore. Look at that. Whipped cream right there. Isn't that pretty? When we come back, we're going to check our cake, cut a pretty slice, put it all together, and make the most delicious plate of dessert you've ever eaten in your whole life. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back. We are rounding out the day with our beautiful triple chocolate bundt cake for National Chocolate Lovers Month. It's got more chocolate in it than you can even believe, if you ask me. It smells so good. So many things. We've got chocolate going here with a little butter and this cream, and then we've got homemade sweetened whipped cream right here that smells like vanilla and sugar, which is just fabulous. I mean, nothing smells better than that. And we have these beautiful macerated raspberries that we've put in a little bit of sugar. I mean, this is like perfection for a chocolate lover's heart. This is as good as it gets, if you ask me. So I have a cake plate sitting right here. And remember I told you there's a little trick about getting your bundt to flip out of your bundt pan, and it will remove all of your woes that, you know, have broken your heart for all the years that your buns have stuck inside the pan. Here's the key. When you make a bundt cake, after you remove it from the oven, let it cool for 10 minutes on the nose. Like, I actually set my timer one more time as it's cooling. If it cools any longer than 10 minutes, then it actually will cool itself back and start to stick to the pan. If you cool it any less than 10 minutes, then the cake itself hasn't cooled enough and it comes apart. You know, you may actually have part of it that comes apart, like it may split and separate, and so 10 minutes is the key. So I'm going to take a knife really quickly and just separate that little bit of a seal, especially if there was a little glop that got kind of up and over the edge. And we use that good baking spray that I love. It smells good. Good, good, good. All right. Here we go. Ready? Oh my goodness. Okay, I got to get under this. Now wish me luck. I'm going to put my hand under it. 1, 2, 3. And then before it comes out, I'm gonna center the Bundt pan right on the plate. Okay, this is the moment of truth right here, and that pan is so hot. Here we go. Ta-da! Look how pretty. Crumbles. We can take those hot chocolate pieces and put them back where they go. That heart Bundt pan makes that pretty, pretty edge. And then while it's hot, we're gonna take this ganache and go right over the top. I told y'all this was a chocolate lover's dream. And then you want to let this cool a little bit longer. Oh, that's pretty. Shiny, chocolatey, rich. I told y'all you're going to need a good cold glass of milk. You're going to want to let this cool. Probably sit at room temperature for probably about a half an hour or so. And then you'll slice it. Scoop some of those pretty pink raspberries right there on the side, and then a dollop of that fresh whipped cream, and it is just the best thing you'll ever eat. I hope that y'all have a good chocolate lovers month and a good Valentine's Day. Spend it with people you love. Make this cake. Love every bite. This is Cooking Today.
Groceries provided by Harps, hometown fresh. Kitchenware is provided by Euna.